So here is our Xtreme 4th of July pre-cooked. We've got jerk chicken legs. We've got a Cajun Creole salted tomato on a Himalayan salt block. And we've got my grandma's, updated by me, grilled cabbage casserole, bubble and squeak. We're ready for dinner. Come enjoy.
It's time for Xtreme Barbecue, presented by Smoke and Fire, where you can find everything you need to master the grill. Think family, think friends, think Smoke and Fire.
Hello everybody, it's Todd Lebo at Smoke and Fire with Xtreme Barbecue with our good friend Jim Cotty. And we've got great recipes for you today, and we want to, of course, let you know that Smoke and Fire has been responsibly open. Come on down to 151st and 69 Highway in Overland Park, and they've got the 4th of July is coming up next weekend, and what a wonderful calendar we have, because it's actually on a Saturday. So we got all kinds of great specials leading up to that. Wonderful things. You can come down in extended hours till 6 o'clock at night on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd next week. But let's talk a little bit about some food with Jim Cotty from Smoke and Fire. We've got 3 great recipes today. How are we going to kick this off, Jim?
We're going to start today with my grandma's grilled cabbage, also known bubble and squeak to the British. We're going to grill it first, but then we're going to do a casserole, and that's the bubble and squeak part. So we're going to prep that. Then we're going to cut over to our jerk chicken legs. We're smoke roasting them. And finally, we're ending up with our Creole beefsteak tomato. And I'm going to grab that cabbage. I'll be right back.
So last week we did those cabbage steaks, and we talked about this casserole because I remember how good it is. And this is an old recipe, but you guys have tweaked it out a little bit, right? Always getting that flavor up. The
recipe I grew up with. This is something I remember from the time I was little, and it was just always a family favorite. What I've done is a quick prep. We've got our cabbage cut into bite-sized pieces. We've drizzled our oil over the top. To that, we've added the Smoke and Fire seasoned pepper. We've got this is a potato seasoning that is for mashed potatoes, but it is awesome flavor. We've added 3 tablespoons of that. And then we've also added our bourbon smoked paprika, and the flavor of that is just incredible. So all that's marinated and set to the side. The cabbage was par blanched where I did it in the microwave, so it's not really wilted, but it was starting to wilt. That way when we go to the griddle, it's much hotter. Our beef heater today is smoking hot. We're going to get a little fresh oil on here, and we're going to have not only smoked tornadoes, but flambe. To that, we're going to add our cabbage.
This won't take long at all to get this stuff cooked, right?
It cooks really quick. It's going to be about 1.5 minutes per side. What we're doing is just getting a nice char sear. And what we're after is finishing that par cook, and then we're also getting a nice flavor. That char sear adds that to it. We've probably got about 1 minute. I'm going to turn this first back, and we've got a little sear going on there. It's good. One more turn. We've got a really good color sear going. 2 spatulas let us get a nice scoop.
These are always things you could probably, like, theoretically microwave it to get it hot, but it's always that next level stuff we do on the grill to get the real flavor in all these recipes.
Absolutely, and it's that char sear where that flavor comes from. So what we've got now is a nice char seared set of cabbage leaves. A little onion was added in that, so all that's married together on flavor. We're going to get our casserole pot, and this is kind of a layering project.
So now we've got all of our ingredients. It's time to make that casserole and get it all layered together.
Earlier today I made a white sauce. White sauce is just simply butter and flour, and that's a hot fork. And what I want to show is kind of the inconsistency. That way it all works through. And so it drizzles nicely when you pick it up. It's not too thick. And the goal here is that all that sauce is going to work down through. So we put in a layer of our casserole of the cabbage and spread that out. And part of the flavor comes from just good old saltines, and we're going to use most of this. We want a rough crush. You just leave it in the bag before you open it and kind of start working those. We're going to pop that open. And we're going to shake out and just make a nice coating on top to where we've got a little bit of everything showing.
Like a little lasagna, a little
It
layer.
is a little lasagna layer. And cheese is always good, isn't it, Todd?
Yes, all the cheese we
little
can
extra
do.
cheese isn't going to hurt anything. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit more over the top. We have that. Now we're going to do another layer of our cabbage. Spread that out. And one more layer of crackers. Whenever you do this casserole, you can use any size dish that makes sense, but thinner is always better than thick. If you've got too thick of a casserole, it's not going to work down through. Just kind of pouring that around over the top. And so by just gently working it, we're getting that sauce down into the casserole, and that's all going to bake up nice together. So here is our casserole ready to go to the smoker. We're going to set that in. We want the temperature back up. This is now prepped. We're going to get our chicken wings done and onto the cooker, and as they're about halfway done, we're going to pop this in. So that's going to be kind of the sequence to get everything done at the end of dinner. So our casserole's ready. It's off on the side. We're going to work our chicken wings now. Let me get those up here. And what we've done with our chicken wings, we are using the Imperial soy sauce. It's aged, double fermented in bourbon barrels. So it pulls all that bourbon flavor in. It's very, very subtle, but it's an unbelievable soy sauce. That is our base coat, and to that we have added Malcolm's Jam and Jerk. This is a dry seasoning. This is something that I've been doing for decades now. On chicken wings, chicken legs, the dry seasoning really works best. So we've got our soy, added the jerk powder to it, that combines, and then the chicken legs marinate. And we've just simply put them in a Ziploc, and the liquid will kind of hold on one side, it'll pool through. Every half hour, just turn it, and that makes sure we've got everybody marinated in a good spot.
How long would the total marinade be on that? How long would you do it?
You don't want it to go any less than a half hour, but it could go up to an hour and a half.
Yeah, but not an overnight thing, because that's
No,
when you start pulling.
this is a short marinade, just getting ready to go to the grill. And if we were doing more chicken later, this sauce, as long as your marinade, as long as you refrigerate it, you can reuse that. But once you've marinated the food product, it needs to go. So we'll reserve that off to the side. So what we have are really nice colored chicken legs. The soy sauce and that jerk has gone into it. This is going to be kind of a two-step process. So in preparation for our smoking, this is the Amazing Smoke Tube. They make a short one. Here at the shop, we typically have longer smoke. I don't need a lot of smoke today, so I've just filled the amount of pellets I need. This is our gelled alcohol, food grade napalm basically. We're going to put just a little bit of that down the center onto our pellets. We're going to kind of shake that around just a little bit to get a good coating. And we're going to go to our Bison air lighter and use that to ignite. And that starts. So that'll burn for about 5 minutes, and that's going to give us our starter. It's going to have the pellets smoking, burning. Right now it's going to just burn with the flame. As it gets lower and lower, we'll blow that out, and then we're going to lay that down into our grill, and that's where we have our smoke generator that's going to smoke these chicken legs.
So yeah, this is a great way if you don't have a smoker, if you're working with propane, that you can have that smoke flavor. And these things are awesome. And it is like it says there, you don't need all that much smoke to get the smoke in on that. So it's a wonderful way to have like some versatility with your equipment.
Another thing, back to what Todd said, chef uses this in classes all the time, and people always go, oh, you can't get that much flavor, and he'll serve the food, and they're going, you didn't smoke that with that tube. And it's, oh yeah, you just watched it happen. They really do, as Todd said, an excellent job of giving you a nice flavor. So if you've thought about smoking, you want to try it, this accessory, and they've got a bunch of different sizes and styles, is something you can add to whatever gas grill you have, and you're going to get kind of in the groove. Once you have your groove going, you're going, hey, this is something I want to do. Absolutely, you're going to get better flavor from a dedicated smoker, but for just simple and easy, this is wonderful. All right, our gelled alcohol is just about burnt out, so we're going to lightly blow that out. And so there comes our smoke. And what this will do is it'll burn all the way through those pellets. This is probably about 20 minutes worth of smoke concept here. So this is hot, so I'm going to take my silicone and we're going to take this over to the smoker. Smoker's already ready. We've got it zoned in. We're at about a 375, and that's only using one burner on a medium setting. The rest of these burners are off. We're going to set the smoke tube here on the griddle, which our chicken's going to be next to that. And just to make sure that we're up and running, we're going to grab our bison and use it for just a second to jump start. And that'll just bring those pellets up to temp. And so that way we've got a good engine going on our smoke generator. We've got our chicken rack already in. We're going to set it sort of middle here. That way we're getting a convection roll on the inside. And we're going to place our chicken legs, and the knuckle joint just goes into each slot and it hangs there. Like so. And then we're going to close our lid. So our oven's already at temperature. We've got our smoke generator going, and this is going to be the fun of it. Now you walk away. So we'd wait for those to be about halfway done, and once they got up to say 125 internal temp on the meat, we're going to pull them, and we're going to use our grapeseed oil spritzer, and we're going to pull them out and spritz them with grapeseed oil. That way they've got a nice coating. That's going to help them char sear so that they've got a better sear and a better crispy skin crust on the outside. Then we're going to do a dusting of our jam and jerk all over them, and that seasoning is just going to marry into that oil. We're going to put them back in. We're going to kick that on up to 375, and now we're going to roast them to finish. Takes another hour. So this is about a 2.5 maybe 3 hour, depending on your cooker. During that time, you do want to kind of peek at them and check. Make sure that you're not getting uneven cook. Maybe turn them, rotate them in location, and just make sure that they're all roasting nice in the same pattern. But at the end of this, the beautiful thing is we had 25 minutes of prep. Cabbage went into the casserole. It would go in at about midpoint. It needs about 25 to 45 minutes to get up to a nice bubbly piece. You've got your chicken done. It's roasting and finishing, and what we're going to do now is go finish our tomatoes. We're going to be ready for dinner here shortly. So I went to Hen House to pick out our food product, and they have these beautiful beefsteak tomatoes from Arkansas. They're vine ripened. They're as close to what we're going to have here at home in another couple of weeks, but I thought it was a good time for tomatoes. It's an old trick from my grandmother. You take the sharp edge of a knife and basically you're bruising the skin. And what you're going to do, I grew up eating tomatoes with no skin, and whenever I get a tomato with skin, it's just not right. So by bruising that skin, it'll separate. Now chefs will do blanching, where they use heat, and the heat will kind of do the same thing. But this was just Grandma's trick, and I've always stuck with it because it works quite well. And you just work your way all the way up around that radius, and once you're there, you get underneath and you kind of lift that skin and it'll just peel. Now homegrown tomatoes, that'll peel off in whole sections. These are a little thicker skin when you get to the store, but it still works to get that peeling done. So we've got our tomato peeled, the skin is off, and now we're going to take and core the heart of the tomato out. And it's just kind of a 45-degree angle cut. You go all the way around, that separates, and that way you remove that tough center. We're going to slice our tomato and go through and just get a nice even piece. And these are going to lay out on top of our Himalayan salt block. And what's nice about the Himalayan salt block is it adds a really incredible flavor of the sort of earthborn, a very rich nutrient mineral base, and all of those flavors marry together. And so you're not going to salt these tomatoes. They're picking up the salt from the actual block itself. We're going to have one more slice here that's going to be pretty. And so obviously if we're doing a crowd, we would have more tomatoes, more salt blocks. But when we're done, we've got a nice presentation going to the table where we have everything dressed up. To these, we're going to take a balsamic reduction and we're going to drizzle that over the top of the tomatoes and just kind of back and forth. And a reduction is thicker. It's mostly a syrup. And so we're just doing a nice visual. Over that, we're going to use our Xtreme seasoned pepper, and we're going to do a nice coat. You can't have too much pepper on a tomato. And now, to that, we're going to add our andirous stuffed with no salt. The Himalayan is going to pull all the salt you want, so we don't need to add any additional. But this is our Creole, our Cajun seasoning, and it's just a blend of the garlic, pepper, onion, but that complements everything going on. Plus it just adds a beautiful color to the tomatoes.
So we've got Creole tomatoes and we've got jerk chicken, and those are kind of similar, right? Same kind of region of the world.
We're getting down in the Gulf and the island area, and a lot of those flavors did come together. So there is a wonderful similarity there that it's not out of range to go there. They're two totally different flavors, but they'll marry together and make a nice piece.
So we've got the Creole tomatoes, we've got the jerk chicken, and we've got the amazing cabbage casserole. It's all Xtreme Barbecue. Once again, they're open, getting ready for July 4th next weekend. They'll have bonus hours going until 6 o'clock, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and all kinds of great specials. You've got to come into Smoke and Fire on Xtreme Barbecue right here on Sports Radio 810.
So now we're ready. We've got our tomatoes. They're on, this is a frozen salt block, so they're chilled. They're just off to the side. If it was going to be a long delay, I'd cover them with a clear saran wrap. That way they're waiting and they're happy, no insects bothering it. But let's go open our smoker and see what we got. And our smoke is dwindling down. We don't have a lot coming off, but we've got beautiful glazed chicken. We've got our casserole. We'll pull it out and serve some up. We've got Grandma's original bubble and squeak. We've got our Jamaican jerk chicken legs, beautiful crust, golden brown. Todd, I'm not sure about you, but I need 3 chicken legs.
I never saw a chicken with 3 legs, but I wish they had them.
Well, he had a rough life. We've got our sliced tomato, and we're ready to serve dinner.